Hello, friends, and welcome to tonight's review. No, I haven't had anything to drink yet. That is why I'm dubbing tonight's review, the insomnia review, because I've had insomnia for the past 2 nights in a row. Pretty bad insomnia, not like toss and turn for an hour or two. It's more like sleep for an hour or two before having to get up and go to work. Yeah, I work on weekends now. Anyways, I'm exhausted and a little bit loopy, and who knows what beer in that system is going to do. But that said, my senses are still keen, even if my mind isn't. So let's go and review this beer, shall we? And there's one I'm going to be very happy to be reviewing. This is another one off of the Terminal Gravity Brewing Company out of Oregon that recently expanded distribution into Hawaii. I loved their India Pale Ale, which I found a very good take on the English style of India Pale Ale. This is an English style Pale Ale from them. Rather high ABV for an English style Pale Ale at 6.1, but I found it very pleasurable to drink. So, without much further ado, let's get to it. Nothing to it but to do it, shall we? I'm going to give it a fairly vigorous pour. So I find this beer is a little bit resistant to give a head. But once it does, it delivers a fairly nice one. So, slightly translucent copper orange color, so a little bit of mistiness there. A nice off-white to beige head. Thick, slightly frothy. And just a lovely redolent of caramel malts. Sweet caramel malts. Floral earthy hops. Interplay is just excellent in between those two smells. It's very difficult to tell where one ends and the other begins. A little bit of grassiness there too. Very rich smell to the malts. Medium body. Despite the sweetness of the nose, the actual taste on the tongue, while still sweet, is not cloying. The malt backbone is very much of a brown breadiness, with just that lightly sweet caramel, this sort of floating over that brown breadiness, and transitioning very nicely to earthy sort of hops bitterness in the finish. Not quite clearing the tongue, both of them interplaying with each other. Again, English style pale ale. The hopping is old world. Pretty much, I would say, a very excellent example of old world hopping. There is no resininess to these hops. There's no resininess, there's no fruitiness. You're left with a very English style experience here. Despite the medium body, despite the somewhat high ABV, still a very refreshing drink. I'm so quiet because one, my brain's a little bit my brain's a little bit out of it because of lack of sleep, and two, you know, it's just a great beer. It's not exceptional in that there's a lot of tastes, but is exceptional in that it is a very well done example of the style. This tastes like I'm trying to think of that brewery, English brewery that you can get in Hawaii. It tastes like their pale ale. Nicely rich, well-balanced, old world hopping. As it warms up a bit, a certain amount of creaminess or butteriness appears in the mouthfeel. Absolutely lovely. Not too much butteriness in the taste. That's something you would more expect from a special edition bitter. Again, it feels like I'm in a pub sipping on, an old English pale ale. And that's what I'm going to recommend it as. If you're on the West Coast, if you're in Oregon, I've had someone comment on one of the posts saying that this is about the same price as Deschutes in Oregon. If that is the case, then you should definitely go and get yourself a sixer of it, because it is just an unbelievably good English-style pale ale. One I'm rating 2 thumbs up here. I'm obviously going to pick up a 6-pack of the bitter and review that. That's the 3rd style of beer that they've released here in Hawaii. And I'm going to look forward to finishing up the rest of this beer and possibly collapsing into a long, heavy sleep. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that. So, Terminal Gravity Brewing, pale traditional style pale ale. Again, go out yourself and get yourself a 6-pack of this, brother. Cheers.